We on? Are we on? Are we on? Are we on? Are we on? We're on. We on. We on. We on. We're on. We're on. Hey everybody, it's Mike Meyers on his daily Monday through Friday 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Ask Mike anything. The goal of this live stream is to provide all of us, myself included, with the opportunities to study for the CompTIA IT Fundamentals, A+, Net+, Security Plus, and beyond. For those of us who are kind of stuck at home with the coronavirus, this is our opportunity to work together as a class or a group or a study session or whatever the heck you want to call it. I'm here to help you guys pass your CompTIA certifications and also become really, really good techs. So with that attitude in mind, first of all, I'd like to thank you for coming. And just because you guys are kind enough to show up today, we are giving away 60% discount, almost giving it away, on our A+ and Net+ bundles. So for practice questions and simulations, it's a great deal. All you have to do is look down below here, go to the Total Seminars website, type in the magic code, and you too can get 60% off. These prices are insane. But anyway, so they're there for you. Also, if you are an instructor who is actively teaching a CompTIA course, we are prepared to really open up the doors for you. We're giving it away, and I'm serious. We're giving it away to instructors of real schools. Don't try to be clever, okay? All you have to do is contact Kathy Yale of our office. Scott Jernigan will type in Kathy Yale's address there, her email address. You don't get her home address, sorry. And all you have to do, if you're an instructor actively teaching a class, please contact Kathy Yale, and we'll just pretty much give you anything we have. Straight up. No 60% discount. I mean, we're giving it away. Now that's insane. So anyway, today is going to be port day, as I recall. I was really thinking about that because a lot of people were asking questions about, well, just port numbers and how to memorize port numbers. And you're not going to like my answer because there is no easy way to memorize port numbers. But then I started getting emails after yesterday's session where people were more asking questions like, what's a port? Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive on ports in general, if for no other reason that I love to say the word ephemeral. But we're going to make sure you folks are comfortable conceptually of why ports exist. And once we've done that, then we can move on and just answer general questions. So again, guys, we'll concentrate on ports, but if you have any question on any topic, feel free to ask. In fact, what I'm going to do right now is take a quick sweep through, and I'm not going to answer port questions yet because I saw a couple that had popped up, but let's just see if anything else is out there, and we can see what is up. Yeah, there we go. Here come the port ones. Vimal, Tolowit, Andrew Hutz, Florentina Vince, hello. Alan Duggan, JS. What will the stream be about today? Well, now you know. It's all about ports. Any port in a broadcast storm. Yeah, I just thought of that. Why? Jimmy is here. Diego is here. LCK. Careful with that one, buddy. Vimal, lots of questions. Hey, guy, Batman. I'm Batman. What's support for 389? Yeah, sorry, I ran a couple minutes late there. I'm getting too fancy for my own britches on this, using these streaming softwares, and kind of forgot something a little bit important. Like, for example, I didn't finish my presentation. I'm finished. We're okay now, but it took me. So we got real good quality control testing on this. So it explodes, and you guys can all tease me about that a little bit. So JR, where's BMCC? I want to know. Cycle of sevens. That's almost like a circle of fifths, right? All right. Andrew Hutz got all the answers. Jay Soner. Andre, man, it's the Netherlands. They're always here. Hey, Andre, when do I get an invite to come over, brother? Let's just say I enjoy that thing. Explain about Telnet? No, I really thought we just got to go over conceptually what are ports. do a rundown of the port numbers and the protocols, the associated protocols, just kind of do a quick blurb on them. But I mean, if you guys want to, we can do a bigger drill down. I would need some prep time so that it would look a little bit prettier, but we could talk about protocols in more detail. That's really up to you guys. The answer is, as always, if you want me to talk about something, anything in detail, all you got to do is contact Mike. Send me an email. Both of those emails, one is my work, the other is my personal. They all get to me on a timely basis. So please send me an email right away and just tell me what you want me to talk about. You got to keep in mind, one of the big challenges that I run into is that, you know, we have, Total Seminars has thousands of presentations on all kinds of stuff, and no one's getting to the office except for Dave Rush these days. But I could get to the office and grab pre-made presentations, which would be better than me spending 6 hours a night like I've been doing lately, trying to put together quick PowerPoint presentations. But hey, social isolation. Am I saying that right? I'm not in isolation. I'm whatever. I just can't keep up with whatever term of the day is. Anyway, so in terms of contact, the Steam account, that's just for gamers. That is my office number. It can forward to me, but I'd almost rather you not use the number. If there's something pressing, don't be afraid to use it. But when in doubt, Deswed. So, you know, guess what my Skype name is and anything like that. So I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. All right, so with that attitude in mind, just reading, seeing who's up. No, Cycle of Sevens, I am not a musician. I play drums, see? So I'm a percussionist, but I perform with musicians, but in no way would I want to confuse myself on that. Hey, Scott, Dave Rush went into the office. See, I just said it. Allison Ledoux is back. Mon Haifiz. Mon, am I pronouncing your name right? Social distancing. Thank you, Scott. You are the best, Mike Meyers. Obina, don't you ever forget that kid. Mike Meyers, best. Joseph Tamaris is back. I read your book and watched most of the videos and took your practice exams yesterday. Oh, you failed the practice exams. Okay, we can talk about that. In fact, why don't we start with that? Jacob, this is for you, man. So you've been running through everything. You're running the practice exams, and you're getting a fail. Okay, a couple little tricks. Trick number one, is this A+? Okay. Number one, like when I used to shoot pool for money, okay? And back in my college days. And what we would do is we'd play a game called snooker. So snooker is, a snooker table looks like a pool table, but it's bigger and the pockets are teeny tiny, okay? And we would practice on the snooker table for about 2 or 3 hours and then go out to the bars or whatever and go to the quarter machines where you punch in your 4 quarters and the pockets look this big. Basically, the moral to the story is do something harder than the real thing and then the real thing becomes easy. So I got to tell you, Jacob, you probably didn't fail. I create an abnormally high bar for pass-fail on my practice questions to do exactly what just happened to you. I want to push you to do as well as you possibly can. So when you go in, after using my practice questions, and when you go in and take the test, you're going to find it easy, and your pass rate will go up a lot. The biggest problem I run into with CompTIA exams is, well, I tell everybody here, it's important. The number one reason people fail CompTIA exams is test anxiety, by far. It tends to be one of your more entry-level types of certs. You have to go to some testing center, or worse yet now, it's even be online, all alone. I'm not sure that's so good. I mean, it's convenient for the coronavirus, of course, but, oh well, I'm not going to get into that. So test anxiety is number one. Number two reason that people fail A+ exams is they know too much. It is so easy, you know, for somebody really good at technology can look at a question and go, well, you know, 2 + 2 can equal 5 for very large values of 2. And you can't do that. CompTIA tests are written really for, you know, for teenagers, 8th grade reading level. And the old adage, the doctors, it says, if you see hoof prints, think horses, not zebras. In other words, on CompTIA questions, there's invariably a better answer. And yes, if you've got a lot of knowledge, you could probably shoehorn one of the not so good answers into it. But I wouldn't recommend that because you're probably going to be wrong. And so that's the second reason people fail the CompTIA exams. The third reason is finally they don't know enough. Isn't that amazing? The two main reasons people fail CompTIA exams is test anxiety and they know too much. Crazy, huh? It's true. I have been doing this for, I hate saying these numbers, 25 years now. And I have watched literally every version of A+. I've seen every version of tester you could possibly imagine. I've helped probably close to 1 million people pass their CompTIA A+, Net+, Security+. And this is my observation. It is not a scientific method. I did not do a study, or double blind or anything like that. I've just done it so many times that can be the really big issue. So with all that, here's how I'll make it real easy. Probably if you feel that you know the information well, this is where you really need to use the practice questions. Again, they're my practice questions. Use the results, the test results, and see what you're doing wrong. We have a lot of weird questions on my test bank because there's a lot of weird questions on the CompTIA exams. And while I'm not going to copy a CompTIA question because they'll get very, very upset, I do try to mimic the look and feel of those questions as best I can. So I wouldn't worry about anything right now other than just practicing a little bit. And I don't care if I raise the bar a little bit too high, pass my bar, and then when you get in and take the exams, it's going to be a walk in the park. Comprendo-vous? Okay, excellent. All right. Vimal, I'm going to get to all of your port number questions. I promise. And we're going to have 2 giveaways today. I'm going to give away 2 gift certificates to ThinkGeek / whatever it's called these days. And NPower's here. Now I'm happy. Now we have a quorum. There's David Stelly. David, I haven't forgotten to try to get back with you, man. It's just, it's insane around here. What was I talking about? I forgot. What were we talking about? Oh well, it'll come back to me. GameStop. Thank you, Scott Jernigan. Okay. Cool. All right. So, oh yeah, that's right. We're giving away stuff. That's right. So I'm going to give away 2 $25 gift certificates to whoever answers certain questions first. And guys, this is going to be at the very, very end of the hour. So if we run into a time issue, I'll make time so that we can have the contest. It'll be about ports. Mr. E, hello, Mike. In your video course for A+, you recommend not using the Windows system image for backups. You use third-party applications like Macrom instead. Why? Thanks a lot. Oh, that's really easy, Mr. E, because that's what Microsoft told us to say. Scott Jernigan, can you pull up? There was actually a Microsoft knowledge base article where Microsoft straight up said, do not use the system backup. It has problems. Use a third-party utility. So that came straight from Microsoft. And we'll see if Scott can dig up the actual knowledge base article where they told us to do that, Mr. E, and that's where that came from. Paul Murphy's ready to win something. Yes, free stuff. Homer 1075. Would you mind explaining Christmas tree attacks? Homer, I will do Christmas tree attacks only if you send me an email. Gee, how would Homer send me an email? Let me think about that for a minute. Got the idea, Homer? Okay. Kevin Lopez. Do you have coupons for vouchers that have a retake option? No, nobody does. That doesn't exist. That is a non-thing. CompTIA loves their money, man. So you pay, and if you fail, then you pay again. Woohoo! I know, it's a great feeling. Mon Haifez. I work in Washington, D.C., aviation electronics, airlines. My daily job is to maintain in-flight entertainment, like passenger watching movies. Very cool, man. Mon, you should send me an email, because I would love to talk to you about how some of that stuff works. Yeah, Tech Nerd, we can get discounted vouchers. We'll talk about that in a little bit. What is the process of CompTIA cert renewals? Hello, Axe. The process of CompTIA cert renewals is that you have to be recertified every 3 years on every certification you have with CompTIA. For decades, CompTIA had lifetime certification. The powers that be did not like that, and they basically had to get up with ISO 27001 standards on IT training methodologies. So it's every 3 years. Now keep in mind, almost nobody other than CompTIA did the lifetime certification stuff. Pretty much everybody you had to re-up. Now the important thing you have to understand though is that if you want to get recertified, the other thing you can do if you want is you can just go ahead and get some continuing education units. Just do a Google search for CompTIA CEUs. Maybe Scott can pull that up, but otherwise, you a lot of times just attending a seminar, taking a course, anything, you can in essence re-up your A+ or Net+ or almost anything, and you don't have to go retaking the test. So you might want to keep that in mind. For a lot of people, that's the way to go. The other thing I might mention about that is, and I know CompTIA hates it when I say this, but I don't think you should keep taking the A+. I mean, if your job is like, if you're a system assembler or something like that, sure, keep taking it. But for most of us, the real goal is to move forward in life. You move past A+, and move into Net+ skill sets, and then maybe Security Plus, or maybe start going into Cisco, or maybe start going into Microsoft, maybe start going into Certified Wireless Professionals. You know, there's all kinds of other places where as your skills grow, you move on. And so, I mean, the only people I know for sure who should retake the A+ all the time is me, because I'm a trainer, creator of training materials. Instructors should all be up on it. You'd be shocked how few instructors of A+, Net+, and Security Plus actually have this certification. It just cracks me up. Thank you, Scott. There's your continuing education stuff. So the idea is that you march on. Do me a favor. I need you, in fact, I'm going to see if I can show it to you real quick. Bear with me just a second. I'm going to pull up a YouTube, and I really, really, really please watch this Mike Meyers 10 Commandments. I did this about 10 years ago, maybe a little less than that, and it is still as good today as it was back a billion years ago. Now, I am not going to sit here and have you guys watch this whole thing. This was produced with a company called LearnKey, and it's a great one, and it really talks about a lot of stuff, in particular, the progressions you need to do as a tech. So, Mike Meyers 10 Commandments. Please watch it. I find it to be extremely helpful, and I would like for you to watch it. It's just good practical information that you'll like. All right. I may have missed a few questions, but we're already 20 minutes in, so I need to start the port stuff. So let's just dive into ports and talk about it a little bit. Ports are fun. A year ago, I could not spell ports. Now I are one. One moment, please. And so, let's start the show. All right, so first of all, here we've got a client system, just somebody, someplace, and they want to get to a web page, okay? So that means somewhere on this earth, there is a machine with an IP address, or it might be a virtual machine, but it's a machine, and on this machine is a web server, okay? So basically what we have is this web server is listening. Yes, that's an ear. Don't tease me. It's an ear. Doesn't it look like an ear? It's an ear. So on this system, it's listening on port 443, okay? An IP address is the tool by which we get an IP packet from one computer to another computer. So in an IP packet, you will have the destination IP address, and then you will have the source, where the IP address, where did it come from, so that whoever you're talking to knows how to get it back to you, okay? So that's easy. But that only gets it to the machine. Your computer could be running 4 or 5 web pages and 4 or 5 tabs. You might have a server that's a domain controller and a file server and a DNS server and a DHCP server. You get the idea? Where it's doing all these different things. Port numbers are numbers that go between 1 and 65,535 or 6, I don't remember. It doesn't matter. That gets the data. Once it gets to the machine, the port number gets it to the right application. Does that make sense? So if you've got a server that's acting as a file server and a web server and all that, once a packet comes in, the IP address is ripped off, and then we need something that says, oh, this port number is for web pages. This port number is for FTP servers. This port number is for email. Get the idea? Okay. So with that attitude in mind, let's go back and look at a little presentation here. All right. So what I got, the client wants to send a packet to this server, okay? So basically, the client has to build a packet. All right. Now, watch carefully here, folks, because this client is building it. I needed to make it big so you could read it. So I've got it starting way over here on the right, but we're building our own IP packet right here. So the first thing it's going to put in that packet is the destination IP address for the server. Then it's going to put its own IP address in there, and that IP address allows the server to talk back to it. Next is going to be a destination port. Now, in this particular example, if you'll notice, we're listening on port 443. So the destination port for this packet is going to be 443. If we were sending something to email, this port number could be 110. You know what I mean? It's different pieces of software listen on different port numbers. By the way, the first 1,024 port numbers are known as well-known ports. The well-known ports are port numbers that you really don't want to use for anything else. For example, unsecured web pages, HTTP, all those web servers listed on port 80. So if you were to make another server, anything, that just listened on port 80, that would be bad because now you'd have a server with 2 completely different softwares, each listening on port 80. We don't want to do that. So we try to be very careful about what port numbers we use for our servers and what ports they listen on. Get the idea? Okay. All right, so we have a destination IP address, a source IP address, the destination port, which is whatever we're trying to get to on that server. But here's the next one. This is what people forget. This is so important. The next one, which should be clicking in right now. There we go. That's the source port. You have, in an IP packet, you have the destination IP address, you have the source IP address. You also have a destination port, but now you have this thing called a source port. Folks, the IP address will only get it back to your client. Once it gets to your client, which tab of which web browser does it go to? And that's where the source port comes into play. Source ports are interesting numbers known as generically as ephemerals, but let's take a look at that. Oh yeah, there's some data. Okay. All right, so this is going to be sent out, right? Get the idea? Okay. I want to concentrate on this source port for just a minute. Now, a source port is going to be a number that it has a bunch of names for this port. Dynamic, private, ephemeral, they all kind of work, okay? And there is some variation in operating systems, but in general, it's a number from 49,152 to 65,535. Well, it's time for that question you're all asking. Well, Mike, okay, so what about the port numbers 1,025 to 49,151? Those are known as registered ports. And registered ports are ports that you can pretty well use almost any way you want, but let's just say you came up with a new killer application and it needed its own port number. You came out with SuperWeb, which is going to replace all web servers, and it's so much better, and it slices, dices, makes julienne fries in seconds. Well, in order to do that, you're going to have to pick a port. And you're not going to get any of the well-known ports. They're all taken. Sorry. But you can use a registered port with some fair amount of ease. Like a lot of game servers use registered ports and stuff like that. So there's lots of them out there. There's a lot of very, very, very famous registered ports. I mean, anybody who's ever done any Steam gaming and stuff like that is familiar with a lot of these ports. So anyway, but the bottom line is, and you make sure you know this for the both the A plus and the Net plus. You make sure you know that the well-known ports are 1 to 1024, that your registered ports are 1025 to 49,151, and that ephemeral ports are 49,152 all the way up to the top, 65,535. Ephemeral ports are generated by clients on the fly, okay? They basically have a list, and they're like, the last one they used was 50,122, then the next one would be 50,123. So it's not real scientific, but they're stored within, each client has a different way to generate ephemeral ports. Get the idea? It's the ephemeral port that's going to get your data back from the server to the right application. You will always have 2 IP addresses. You will always have 2 ports in every single TCP packet. All right, getting off my soapbox now. Okay, so let's just take a look at this guy. And what I want to do this time is I'm going to put in, like, my client's got this little web browser going, okay? And let's go through this process again, except this time, let's actually use some real numbers here, okay? So first of all, I've just picked 2 arbitrary IP addresses. Neither of these are real, well, they're real addresses. I don't know what they're associated with, so don't go messing with them. I mean, get the scary guys with guns knocking on your door. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to build an IP packet to get a chunk of data from the client to the server, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the destination IP address. Now, where did he get this destination IP address? Well, he's probably been sending thousands of packets to him, but he may have got it through DNS. Who knows? Doesn't matter. Then the client's going to send his IP address in the source IP address. Now he's trying to get to a secure web page, which is 443. So he's going to put in 443 as the destination port number. Okay? And then he's going to just spin up, he's going to look on the list, pick a number, and in this particular case, Windows assigns a ephemeral port number of 48,564. So since that's been assigned, he will then put that on there as the source port number, and then whatever data there is, and then the client shoots it off over to the server. That part's easy. So now what we're going to do is the server has received this packet, okay? And the server keeps the source IP address so he can send stuff back. He's also going to remember that ephemeral port because that's the only way your machine's going to know where to send it to when you get it back. So what we're going to do now is we're going to let the server go ahead and generate a packet that's going to get it back to your system. So the first thing the server does is he sets in the, we're going the other direction now, guys, okay? So we're going to go from right to left this time. So the first thing he does, he sets in the destination IP address. Then he sends in the source IP address. It came from him, right? Now watch this. The destination port number is the ephemeral port number. It spins it around. And then it says this came from a secure web server, and then the data and all that stuff, and off it goes. Okay. Oh, not yet. Too soon, too soon, too soon, too soon, too soon. It's really important to me that you conceptually understand why ephemeral port numbers exist. It's literally how they get it back. In fact, a lot of times you can open up a web browser and open up just one page, just one tab. That's it. And then go use a tool like Netstat or TCP View to see your connections. And all of a sudden you'll see, wait, there's 5 connections here. Or wait, there's 20 connections. I've only got one web page up. Why is this happening? Well, for every Java ad in there or whatever applet's got or third-party cookies or all this stuff, all of these create connections. So you might open up one simple web page and have a lot of connections showing up in Netstat. And that's normal, and it's okay, and it's good, and a little terrifying when you see you just open up a nice little web page and start doing some backtrack on some IP addresses, and all of a sudden you're in Russia or something like that. But it's important that you understand that. Are we comfortable? I just do this for me right now. Go like this. Yes, Mike. Every IP packet has a destination port and a source port. The destination is almost always going to be a well-known or at least a registered port number, and then the source port number is going to be an ephemeral port number that was generated by the actual client itself. Got it? Okay, great. With that attitude in mind, you learn about some fairly interesting things. Like, for example, if you're behind a NATed router, you send a packet to port 443. You're going to a secure web page, right? So you send a packet to port 443. That NAT router would normally not let any incoming unknown anything come in, right? But what that NAT router will do is he will remember the ephemeral port number and your IP, your internal IP address, and your ephemeral port number, and we'll use that as a matchup. So when there's incoming data coming in, that's how a NATed router goes, oh, I'll let this one through because it matches up there. There's a couple other little ways to do it, but that's a big way to make stuff like that happen. All right. So I hope that helped on understanding port numbers. What I want to do now is let's take a minute. Now, guys, I'm going to do this pretty quick. If you guys want to do a big study on different protocols, like I saw somebody wanting to do Telnet, I think that was Vimal. I can do that, but you guys are really going to have to ask for it. To me, it's so, yeah, well, just ask. That's all you got to do. And in fact, if you don't want to, say, I don't want to, and then that way I'll get a better feel of it. Vimal, I'm not going to leave you hanging, I promise, okay? All right, so with that attitude in mind, when we're talking about locking in port numbers into your brain so you can pass for the A+. A+ and Net+ are the biggies. Security Plus certainly covers port numbers, but not as testing criteria. Security Plus covers port numbers just because they want to make a question. They just assume you know port numbers. That's it. And so you have to be really comfortable with that. So let me start by saying this. If you're going to just try to memorize this stuff without understanding what's happening with the protocol itself, you're probably wasting your time. Without a basic understanding of how the protocols work and what we can do with them and what fun we can have, well, that can be a mistake. So I'm going to wag my finger at you and say the best way to learn about port numbers is understand the protocol and play with them a lot. Between what's built into a Windows system, certainly a Linux system, and Mike's cool tools, you have all the toys you need to be able to play with pretty much any protocol. Yeah, pretty much all of them. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at how I make a point to memorize protocols and port numbers. I don't make a big list and start with port 1 or anything like that. I don't do it in alphabetical order by protocols. As you're about to see, I never bother memorizing what the protocol acronym stands for, but I can tell you exactly what the protocol does, and I can make it jump and dance and sing. And I'm sure Scott Jernigan will be fixing me very quickly here as I say the wrong thing. Apple filing protocol? Yeah, we'll see. So what I do instead is they're functional groups for me. And what's actually kind of interesting is if you look at the A+ protocols and the port numbers you're supposed to memorize and compare it to the Network Plus, you see some amazing amount of similarity. So we're going to be talking about memorizing protocols and port numbers both for the A+ and the Net+. And the secret is separate them by function. Let me show you what I mean. So the first big one I like to do is email. So when we're talking about email, we're talking about the three big protocols, okay? So protocol SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, SMTP, it's been around forever. SMTP is what gets your mail to wherever you want it to go, all right? So this is how we send mail. So there are questions that'll say things like, SMTP moves stuff from the client to the server. That would be right. SMTP moves stuff from the server to the client. That would be wrong, okay? The goal of SMTP is to get your email to a mailbox account. Then to access your email, we use two very popular protocols, POP3 and IMAP. Oh, Scott, go ahead. I don't remember what IMAP stands for. I don't care. And when I tell you I don't care, I really don't care. CompTIA will never test you on what does IMAP stand for. I guess if somebody held a gun to my head, I could probably rememorize what it is. Internet makes asinine protocols. That's it. Okay. But Scott, I can't see your all screen right now, but I bet Scott's already got it typed up there. Anyway, but I really don't care. You won't be tested on it. I can make IMAP jump and dance and sing, both on native clients as well as in cloud-based email tools like Gmail, but I don't remember what it stands for. Basically, the big difference between POP and IMAP is simply this. POP is the oldie goldie, and with POP, all of your email would come in via the SMTP server and be in a big pile, and then the POP client would pull down your email. It wasn't very sophisticated. It worked great, still works great today. You can set up Gmail for POP3 if you want it to be. But IMAP does some extra features that are particularly noteworthy. That's why most people use it today. For example, it has online folders. So when you're creating folders to sort your mail and such, that's actually part of the IMAP structure. It's not something done on your local email client. IMAP 4 is by far, it's actually, I said IMAP because I took these directly from the CompTIA objectives, by the way. It's IMAP 4 right now. And so that's how you remember those. So SMTP 25, POP3 110, IMAP 143. So the questions they're going to be asking you, a lot of these questions that you're going to run into is like, Mike is having trouble accessing his SMTP server. The SMTP, he has set the SMTP server up as, mail.totalsem.com, and he set the port to port 23. What's wrong? He typed in the wrong port. I'm telling you, CompTIA questions are easy if you have a basic understanding of what they're talking about. All right, let's keep going. The second big group that I'm going to deal with are what I call the LAN naming and transport. These are Mike Meyers terms, folks. These are not the, there is no official, this is just the way Mike pigeonholes these together. So in particular, let's start from the very top. Ports 137, 138, and 139 are the old NetBIOS and NetBUI over TCP IP protocols. These were the old protocols that moved data. Like if you had a little, forget the internet. Let's just say you had a little 5-computer network and you're all plugged into a switch. These were the tools that would allow your network, my network places or network neighborhood or whatever it is to work for you. And they're very, very old protocols. In fact, they predate TCP IP. They were actually reprogrammed to fit into a TCP IP world by grabbing ports 137, 138, and 139. Port 445 is the follow-up to the NetBIOS NetBUI ports. That stands for Symmetric Message Blocks, Common Internet File System. If anybody called port 445 CIFS, I would say, did you enjoy the 90s? It's been a while since that stuff has been around. SMB is the common term. SMB is a greatly improved naming and transport system for local area networks under Windows. It gets rid of a lot of limitations, like you used to have really concatenated computer names. You couldn't have spaces and things like that. And SMB takes care of all that. In fact, SMB is so wildly popular that even Apple and Linux emulate SMB. In fact, there's a tool in Linux called Samba, S-A-M-B-A, and that's where the name came from, SMBs. So if you were to run TCP view or netstat or something like that, and you saw that these ports were open on your computer, that would probably mean you're running a computer and you like to share folders and files with people in your local area network. And you like My Network Places to work. Those would be good things. The other two are rare and weird. Number 427 is SLP, Simple Line Printer, SLP, I forget what it is. It's used for printers almost exclusively. It's kind of handy that way. Hewlett-Packard got a big deal where basically they had their own well-known port for people to be able to locate printers and things like that. And it's still used to this day. And it's think printers. When you see SLP, remember port 427 and think printers, and you'll be great. Port 548 is the Apple filing protocol. Oh, God bless it. Here I am talking away and not showing you all my pretty pictures. Port 548 is the Apple filing protocol. This is the old net bias, net buoy of something called Apple Talk, which was the networking of your forefathers. It's very old. It's been replaced by something, I think the Bonjour service for you Apple people. And honestly, I'm not even sure why it's on the A+ exam. Okay, the next group is the web, and that one's probably the easiest one. Hopefully you guys got this one down already. So if you're talking about the web, there's two port numbers, port 80 for HTTP, and if you want it secure, it's going to be port 443. I hope you guys already know that one. I'm just going to assume you do. The fourth group is what I call transfer and terminals. So port 21 is file transfer protocol. This is an ancient protocol. It predates the web that allowed you to transfer files between computers. And there was a time when that was how we did that. I'm going to go a little out of order here. 23 is Telnet. Telnet is arguably the oldest protocol / application that there is in the internet. That's it. The whole idea is that you have a remote command prompt that allows you to work with a system as though you were sitting at that terminal and doing terminal stuff. Telnet existed before mice existed. Telnet existed before graphical user interfaces. It's designed for a command line, and it works great. There's only one big problem with Telnet. Telnet is completely insecure, totally wide open. Man-in-the-middle attack, not only does it see your username, it also sees your password, da-da-da-da-da. Telnet is incredibly insecure. And the only time you'll ever see me use Telnet is probably because I'm directly plugging into like a router or something like that, and I'm too lazy to run SSH. That'd be about it. Otherwise, Telnet is yesterday's taters. Telnet has been effectively completely replaced by SSH, Secure Shell Harry. Anyway, SSH is probably the way we get to a command prompt, and it's an extremely common tool. We use it all the time. We were using it yesterday, if you guys remember, when we were taking a look at Docker. It's a great tool, and it is very, very secure. The last one is Remote Desktop Protocol, or RDP. If you ever use Windows Remote Desktop, you were using this protocol to make connections to another machine where you can take over the machine itself, whatever you want to do. It's great stuff. I like it a lot. And the port number is 3389. You will see at least one question that just straight up asks that question. What is the port number? Okay, the last one is network utilities. And again, these titles are my titles, guys. Okay, this is how I make a point to memorize a lot of port numbers. By separating them into 5 groups, it just makes my life a lot easier. So network utilities. Number 153 is DNS, domain name services. You guys do understand that no computer has a name, right? Computers have IP addresses. The problem is that computers have to deal with these really horrible, horrible bags of mainly water called human beings. And the domain name services were developed as a way to apply human-sounding names to individual computers. So instead of typing in www or typing in 117.44.33.6, you can just type in www.totalsem.com and you get there. So DNS is a hierarchical system that's designed to resolve fully qualified domain names into IP addresses. That's all it does. Isn't that crazy? Next is DHCP, Dynamic Host Control Protocol. I'll bet I haven't even got 3 of these right, have I, Scott? DHCP uses 2 port numbers, 67 and 68. DHCP is for systems that do not use static IP addresses. You got a computer, you can set it up for DHCP. When the computer's turned off, it has no IP address, it has no default gateway, it has no subnet mask, it has nothing. But when you turn it on, it starts screaming, going, I need all this stuff. And a DHCP server responds, and then that system now has all the information it needs to get on the internet, on the network at least, if not on the internet as well. Ports 161 and 162 are for Simple Network Management Protocol, SNMP. SNMP is a wonderful tool, and it shocks me how few people actually take advantage of it. SNMP allows you to monitor and, in most cases, control all of your routers and your switches, even your devices to some extent. And it takes a little practice. Whew. I am very sorry, guys. I don't know why I keep doing this. Maybe I should sleep more than 3 hours a night. But SNMP does an amazing job, and it's actually fairly easy to set up. Most smart devices are designed to respond to SNMP queries, and then you just have to find an SNMP query tool and play with it. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Last one is Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. Lightweight Directory Access I'm going to go with that, called LDAP. And that's port number 389. LDAP is really famous for one thing. When you set up a domain controller, the queries to the Active Directory are all done through LDAP on port 389. So you get a lot of LDAP traffic on a Windows network, but only if you have an Active Directory set up. Cool, huh? All right. I keep forgetting to put these back up there for you. I'm just going to leave that there for a second and let you guys kind of gel on that. So that's email, LAN naming transport, the web, transfer and terminals, network utilities. Those are your 5 functional groups, and that's how, if I were you, I'd be studying them. Now, the interesting thing is that when you move from A+ to Net+, the jump isn't that great. In fact, it's just going to take me a second or two to show this to you guys. But what you can actually do is, once you know all the protocol numbers for A+, you're pretty much ready for Net+ too. So let me show you how that works. So email is exactly the same. LAN naming transport, exactly the same. World Wide Web, exactly the same. But we have a few changes after this. You guys ready? First of all, they have FTP on port 20 and 21. Any good firewall is never going to let incoming data that the destination port number is a well-known port. Because if you're using, if packet comes into your router with a well-known port number being the destination port, that means there's a server behind that, right? So if I've got a packet coming in that is the destination is port 80, that means that whoever's sending this assumes that there's a web server. Now, firewalls in general, we don't want web servers behind our firewall. Yeah, there's some ways to get around that, but normally what we do is we just want to stop that. And that's one thing pretty much every even home router will do automatically. So it cannot take unsolicited, well-known port numbers. Get the idea? Okay. So let's go ahead and pretend like we're doing FTP. So when this is how FTP really works. This is known as active FTP. With active FTP, you set up your FTP client and you send out a request on port 21. Yeah, you have an ephemeral port number and all that. Doesn't change. According to FTP protocol, it responds back on port 20. Now remember what I just said? No router will ever let an unsolicited well-known port come in as a destination port. So this was a big problem, especially in the early days of routers. After a while, they figured out how to get around it. So, but what they did instead is they ended up just changing FTP. And they came up with something that's called passive FTP, where it doesn't use that port 20. So most of the FTP servers that still exist out there are passive FTP servers. Wacky, huh? Yeah, that's how it works. Okay, what else is here? Okay, the only other one that comes in is SFTP. SFTP is a very cool animal because all it does is it's regular old FTP, but it runs through an SSH tunnel. That's why it has that port 22, just like SSH. But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it. And I actually missed one. Guys, I'm sorry. I need you to look at the screen very closely here. I missed one. Do you see 69 TFTP? That's trivial FTP. Trivial FTP is actually kind of interesting. Pretty much every protocol we've talked about is a TCP protocol, with the exception of trivial FTP. Trivial FTP is a UDP protocol, and it's just used for real quick and dirty file transfers. You see it used sometimes on routers where you're updating a configuration file or something like that. Trivial FTP, it's out there. Incredibly insecure. So next are the network utilities. They only add two. The first one they add is network time protocol, and then they add secure LDAP. Network time protocol is one of the most important protocols that are out there. If you try to log a Windows system into a domain and the clock on the machine is more than, I don't remember what it is, it's got to be really close in time. If it's not in the same time, it just can't even log in. So we use network time protocol servers. All Windows servers are network time protocol servers. And what they do is automatically update clients so they all are on the same time. And yeah, they know about time zones and stuff too. They can adjust properly. But that's all NTP is. You run into any situation where Bob can't log in, maybe one of the things you might want to consider is the time off, because that's all it is. And NTP, and it runs on port 123. How's that for easy? LDAP-S, or secure LDAP, is just LDAP, but it adds some certificate security to it, and it runs on port 636. And the last one is multimedia. So there are two protocols out there that we use on a lot of multimedia presentation stuff, voice and video and such. And one is H.323, which is a very old protocol, by the way, and it runs on port 1720. H.323 predates just about everything. But the more, what I think, the more elegant protocol is called SIP, and I don't have a darn clue what it stands for. It runs on 5060 and 5061. All right, so that's the basics on port numbers. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to head on back and see what you guys are talking about, because I literally can't see your questions while I'm running these presentations. Oh, yeah, sorry guys, can we see the port screen? I apologize. And even Scott's way he can contact me normally is not working well right now. All right, let's scroll up and we'll start answering some questions. Oh, we do have giveaways. I'm running out of time. Patrick Vallis, can I expect secure port questions on 1001? If I didn't mention the port, it ain't going to be on 1001 in that first 5 functional groups. HTTPS is a secure one, and it most certainly is on 1001, and there will be questions about HTTPS, what port number it has, is it secure, that kind of thing. Oh, SLP is UDP. Thank you, Diego. I forgot about that. Delva McCoy, isn't SMB server message block? I heard, I don't care. I don't care. No one's ever going to quiz you on it. They don't care. Stan Davidson, when you mention Linux, are you referring to operating systems such as Ubuntu? Yes. Server message block. Scott Jernigan, I love you so much. Okay. All right, but we got to do some competitions here. You guys ready? All right, this is all about speed, guys. This is all about speed. So, I need you guys to have your fingers on the keyboards. I'll give you a clue. You're about to start typing in port numbers. All right, I'm giving away 2 $25 gift certificates to ThinkGeek GameSpot, okay? So I need somebody to answer these questions. You ready? Are we ready? I don't see anybody acting ready yet. I don't think you're ready enough. Put your hands together. Okay. Al Mulford. Oh, good Lord. Hey, Al. Al Mulford sleeps with my big sister. She married him. All right, I got to make this hard. All right? Okay, literally the first person who types in the right answer wins. All right? I've got to get this. I got to get my screen set up so I can do this. How much time we got, Scott? We got 4 minutes. We can pull this off. All right, everybody's ready. Cool. All right, David Stelly's ready. So now we're all really ready. Here's the first one. You ready? If you add together the numbers for TFTP and RDP, what does that number add up to? You have to add two port numbers together, and I need an addition answer. TFTP and RDP. Where's my calculator? All you have to do is, there's TFTP has a port number and RDP has a port number. Add them together. We have a winner. Ah, Diego, he won. All right. There we got him. All right, sorry. The winner is Diego Medina. Diego, well done. All right. That was fun. Oh, no. Okay, we won't do another edition. I mentioned that there were two different kinds of FTP. The old-fashioned way, which used port 20, and the new way, which does not use port 20. What do we call FTP when it's running in a mode where it is not using port 20? Go. Mr. E is the winner, passive FTP. Well done, sir. And Mr. E, those are known A+ style questions, so be ready for them when they come up, guys. Wow, that was quick. All right. So Diego and Mr. E, right? Did I get that right? Where'd he go? That is Mr. E. Yay! All right. Listen, guys. I want to keep doing more on ports. I know our time's run up for the hour, but what I would really like to do tomorrow, if you guys are game, is I want to start talking about how we work with port numbers in a real world to get real answers. I will give you a clue. One of the most powerful tools you can use to look for malware on a computer is Netstat. And so I want to have a little bit of fun. We're going to run Netstat tomorrow and TCP View. I want to make sure you guys are familiar with these products. TCP View is actually listed as as software that you need to know for, I think it's NetPlus? I don't want to lie, it's one of those. But TCP View literally is an objective for a CompTIA exam, or at least in the support documentation. So tomorrow, if that's okay, Scott's going to yell at me if I got it wrong. And again, tomorrow is our big giveaway days. We'll be giving away books, more gift certificates, all kinds of stuff. So I want you guys, please come back. It'll be fun. And we're going to talk more about ports. We're going to be talking about, we could maybe do some port forwarding, port triggering. We could start doing some basic firewalling, just some of the stuff that really where ports come into play. I'm hoping that sounds good. And anyway, for that, guys, it looks like these days times go so fast. We're going to have to wrap it up for the day, but I will see you all tomorrow. Come back for more prizes and fun stuff. And until then, this is your little Uncle Mikey saying good night. Good night.